conviction can be a significant problem for those who carry such a label. Many in society view felons as troublemakers and desire to avoid dealing with them because of the problems they believe will follow if they employ or rent their property to somebody who has been convicted of a felony. This view is short-sighted and creates something we might call a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Speak in the mic.
All right, how's that? All right. Okay. So, essentially, when somebody...
There you go.
Get right on the mic.
All right. So, when we have people who refuse to rent their property or employ somebody because they have a felony conviction, that creates a lot of problems. It sometimes creates something we might call a self-fulfilling prophecy. Basically, if a felon runs into a brick wall, one after another, when seeking employment or housing, when they're released from incarceration, they might become discouraged and wonder why they're working so hard if nobody will give them a chance to succeed or do anything good. I was fortunate in that my family had the resources and was willing to provide me with a safe, clean, sober living arrangement when it came time for me to leave the halfway house in 2010 after completing a 96-month prison sentence in federal prison. I also had an employer who was willing to give me a chance, willing to hire me, who knew me from before my time as a drug addict, despite my 13 felony convictions. Most people coming out of prison are not blessed with such benefits, and they usually have very little in terms of financial resources. They often come from broken homes, which means that turning to family for help is not a viable option. This is where the government needs to step in to aid in averting a disaster. The disaster of missing an opportunity to help someone truly committed to changing, but with no return for help. Some local governments have happened to step in, albeit in an incredibly counterproductive way. So-called good landlord programs. They have made it more difficult for felons to obtain housing upon release. The programs create economic incentives for landlords to deny felons tenancy in their properties. The rationale goes something like this. Felons cause problems. Those problems result in a higher use of emergency services, and therefore felons constitute a higher cost to the city. So landlords allowing felons to live in their properties must pay higher taxes than those who choose to deny felons tenancy. This type of discrimination may sound like a good idea, but it ignores the strong possibility that collateral financial costs of such programs easily could translate into higher overall costs for taxpayers, not to mention the human costs, which are nearly impossible to quantify. Ensuring a safe place to live post-release is a necessity, and good landlords programs have made felons more vulnerable than they already are. I think we can all also agree that job satisfaction becomes an important aspect of sustained long-term employment, something very important for people who are getting out of prison. Providing some form of assistance in allowing felons to obtain a marketable skill set in an area of interest to them would help in reducing the likelihood of their becoming frustrated and returning to the life they know. Healthcare is also important. Governor Herbert's Healthy Utah plan would resolve the problems recently released offenders have when it comes to accessing healthcare services, including mental health and substance abuse treatment. Leaving these people high and dry when it comes to the provision of these services is not good governance. It is irresponsible. As Chief Justice Durant said in his State of the Judiciary address just a few weeks ago, 98% of people sent to jail or prison are released. When they become productive, contributing, law-abiding members of society, our state is a safer and better place. On the other hand, when upon their release they return to their criminal ways, our state is diminished and our citizens made less safe. By providing opportunities for those with criminal records to become productive, law-abiding members of society for a sustained period of time, our state will be safer for a sustained period of time. The psychological effect of incarceration is not easily understood by those who haven't had the misfortune of experiencing it. When I was released, just managing myself appropriately was difficult enough. It took time to get used to the world again. So much had changed. There were new buildings and roads. Technology such as email and smartphones were virtually non-existent when I went to prison. Had I not been helped through the daunting process of getting into school I probably would not have gone to college. But I went, and I have graduated, and this fall I will be going to law school. Largely because of the compassionate help of others, not because of tough-on-crime policies pushed by policymakers placating to fearful and emotional constituencies that have not made any real effort to understand the underlying problems or the best ways to deal with them. To end on a positive note, I would like to point out one of the enormously helpful things Utah does to encourage people like me to be productive, contributing, engaged, and law-abiding citizens. Utah allows anyone not incarcerated, even if they are on probation or parole, to vote. When I learned that I could vote despite my felony record, I was prompted to learn about the issues I care about, my representatives, candidates during elections, and the political process in general. Had I been barred from voting, I never would have taken the time to learn about issues, candidates, or government. So I would like to thank our leaders for recognizing the importance of providing everyone with the opportunity to vote. Thanks.